Yes, you are well. Showers of blessings in Nairobi, in Kitale. How is it at your place? You'll tell me, right? My name is Grace Kanja, and News Now starts right now. Now, the commitment of rich countries to provide $100 billion a year for climate finance in developing economies has not been fully met, and much more funding is needed to finance climate adaptation in the continent. This is according to the civil society, who are calling for an immediate increase in private sector support for climate adaptation and mitigation in Africa. The sidelines of the Africa Climate Week, a conversation on climate action zone, has been taking place, spearheaded by Alliance for Science. Now, the Alliance has called for increased financial support, particularly from the private sector, to support climate adaptation and mitigation in Africa, while applauding rich countries' commitment to provide $100 billion per year for climate financing in developing economies. The stakeholders have expressed their disappointment, saying it has not been fully met and that more funding is required to finance climate adaptation in the continent.
We are a continent of over 1.3 billion people. We have 54 countries. 33 of these countries are LDCs, so we need a lot of money. Even the 100 billion that was promised and we are not getting is actually not sufficient. To deal with the challenge of climate change, we need at least $133 billion annually. So it's a big challenge. A large chunk of that money must come from the private sector. And that brings me to the conversation we are having today. How do we partner and mobilize with the financial sector to bring that money? So the conversation we are having with our colleagues from the African Development Bank, how can they leverage that money? Because that's what they do.
Private sector is the engine that will bring about that transformational shift that we need, the paradigm shift. And so a well-resourced, a well-capacitated private sector is so important for Africa to be able to build the better resilient infrastructure that we need to support our economies. And I think this is where the support that GCF is providing to private sector becomes very important. And most of the challenge that private sector have is the understanding of the climate science, the climate impact, and what it can do in terms of both the challenges and opportunities. As a matter of fact, climate action is very profitable.
And the Office of Data Protection Commissioner has defended its decision to issue Tools for Humanity, the disputed certificate of registration in July last year. Appearing before the Parliamentary Committee probing WorldCoin, Commissioner Immaculate Kasait said that under Section 4 of the Data Protection Act, data controllers and processors are required to be established or ordinarily residents in the country.
Data Commission has power to seek the assistance, in summary, of other public offices and government agencies in the execution of their mandate. I hope I'm not wrong on that, Commissioner. And then when you look at G, you are empowered to undertake any activity necessary for the fulfillment of any of the functions of your offices. And H, you can exercise any powers prescribed by any other legislation. I'm referring to these provisions, Commissioner, so that you cross-check them with what is at page 20 of your report in terms of the recommendations you're submitting to the committee. And at page 20, you see the conclusions. You want law that can assist you to get assistance of the National Intelligence Service. You want law at paragraph 4 that can structure your core collaboration with the Ministry of Interior. Why do you need these laws when the law already empowers you in those provisions at Section 9 to seek the interventions of those bodies? Actually, if you remember, the DCI was here, and they have a very deep and international, structure in terms of how they have dealt with these issues. And we note from the Commissioner, he's not even sought the assistance of that organization, including Interpol, in terms of enforcement of that mandate. Do you really think that with these very broad empowerment provisions, you still need a specific law? Specific on what? What hinders you interacting with these agencies? That is number one, Chair. Chair, number two relates to the issue of the law under which the Commission, the Data Protection, or your office, it's called what? The Office of the Data Protection Commission, operates. I hope you will agree.
And police in Kirinyaga County are investigating an incident where thieves broke into Kiaga Mixed Secondary School in Kirinyaga Central and stole goods of unknown value after holding 2 watchmen hostage. Kanyakine Area Acting Chief Edward Kimotho said the suspected gang of 4 broke into the principal's office and stole computers, 2 TV screens, 6 phones and a CCTV camera backup. The principal said the day's secondary school has no permanent fence, making it easier for the thieves to access the institution.
Majina naitwa Edward Kimotho, Acting Chief Kanyakine Location, also the Assistant Chief Kiaga and Kiajege. Na tuko hapa kwa sababu kulitokea mkaza wa wizi hapa Kiaga Secondary School. Wezi walikunja usiku, wakavamia watchmen ambao wana lead hapa, watchmen wawili. Wakawafunga na kamba. Hawa watchmen wakawekwa kwa madarasa ni different, na baadaye wakavunja ofisi ya mwalimu mkuu, wakamanage kuimba TV screen ambayo ilikuwa huko. Pia waliimba backup ya screens, ya CCTV screens ambayo pia ilikuwa kwa ofisi ya mwalimu mkuu. Waliimba pia TV screen ambayo ilikuwa kwa dining area mahali watoto wanakulia. Pia walimanage kuimba laptop 2, moja ya mwalimu mkuu na moja ya mwalimu. Na sasa uchunguzi unaendelea. Tuko na maafisa wa DCI hapa ambao wanaendelea na uchunguzi wao. Tujue exactly ni nini na nini ingine imeimbiwa.
Ni kwa vile niliona ama vile watu walitokea. Wakaja wakiwa waine, wakiwa wanatoka pande ya chini, na wengine wakatoka pande ya gate. Mmoja alikuwa anabeba bunduki na wa pili alikuwa anabeba ile kipanga inaitwa moto. Akaja akarasimisha huyu, akamwangusha na akamfunga. Nyuma ya huyu alikuwa na panga na yeye akanifunga mikono pamoja na miguu.
And Nyandarua Member of County Assembly Joyce Munywa through the County Assembly has called on the Nyandarua County Government to increase funding to students with disabilities. While presenting the bill in the Assembly, Munywa stated that within a period of 6 months, only 0.5% of students have benefited from the county bursary disbursement. The ward representative has pointed out that the number is extremely low, considering that the education of students with disabilities is quite expensive, as they have special needs.
The issue of this bursary versus scholarship, I also do agree, because what is happening currently is that I think I even gave the numbers. We are saying for the last, I think 6 months to December 2022, as a county we had only supported special learners only 313. The totaling amount that had been given is around 1.4 million. This 313 is just a 0.5%. Of course, we say we need to do more awareness, and I like the passion even the elected members have shown here. One of the, Madam Honorable Milka, her ward had actually given 42, that was the highest. But when I take the average, there were only an average of around 11 persons with disability per ward that were given. So this is something that we really need to think about. I alluded to the fact that educating these persons with disabilities is very expensive. Special schools, the average ranges from 30,000 to 45,000. So even when we give these bursaries and you give somebody 10,000 for a whole year, they still have to look for this amount. So I agree with the aspect of food scholarships. We work out through the act how that can be done so that there is an allocation.
And West Pokot Governor Simon Kachapin has provided medicine and hospital supplies for over 145 healthcare centers in the county. Residents there have expressed their gratitude to their governor for facilitating easier access to healthcare services. This, they say, has addressed the financial transportation barrier that forced them to travel long distances to get treated, and even some having to give birth on their way to the hospital.
Na shukrani na pongezi zinaenda kwa mheshimiwa governor kwa sababu yeye ndio amefanya kazi ya leo ifanyike.
Kwa sababu sisi sahi hatutakuwa na transport ya kupanda pikipiki na kwenda kujifungua. Na sahi tuko sahi vitu yenye tunapata sahi ni mingi. Vitu kama baby show, vitu kama beseni, sabuni na slippers. Sahi tunapata tu hapa karibu, na pia manases watakuwa wengi hapa, watatusaidia, na pia ameleta vifaa mingi sahi yenye itatusaidia. Nashukuru kabisa kwa sababu awali tulikuwa tunaenda mbali kwenda kujifungua, unapata mtu anaenda mpaka anajifungulia njia hajafika hata hospitali.
The Kenya Forest Service plans to rehabilitate a total of 152,000 hectares of heavily degraded forest land in the country after laying out a strategy aimed at increasing the forest cover. Under this strategy, now Kenya needs to plant 86 million seedlings in the next 10 years to achieve 10% tree cover. Chichi Josephine tells us more.
Poaching of cedar posts.
Speaking in Nakuru during the environmental audit of forest management in Mau ecosystem, Head of Forest Resources Information Management, Dr. Benjamin Kanyili, said forming partnerships with, among others, non-state actors will help attain the 10% tree cover.
The government has come up with 11 interventions. And one of them is what we are also discussing here, restocking of the forest plantation areas. And we have 152,000 hectares under plantation. And it's only 6% of the total area of 2.6 million hectares of plantation of forest in the country.
While noting that their business is to plant, manage, grow and protect trees, Kanyili urged both state and non-state actors to help in the implementation of the plan.
To find within the next 10 years, we are going to plant 52,000, and the target is 86 million seedlings which will be planted, and annually we will be planting 8.6 million seedlings.
On his part, Fred Namusende, senior forester, said harvesting 5,000 hectares of plantation forest each year will not undermine government efforts to increase the country's forest cover.
And with forestry, it requires a lot of resources to come up with your own forests. But it is more worse if you are importing timber from other countries, because we are going to lose foreign currency, and also we also have restrictions to import timber from other countries. So as a nation, we have to come up with our own sustainable way of having our own timber to sustain our industries, especially the infrastructure.
Kenya Forest Service has been insisting that the lifting of the ban on logging in gazetted forests was informed by an inventory of forest plantations that is said to have been undertaken by a multi-agency task force commissioned by the former CS for Environment and Forestry, who had confirmed the available stocks.
The way they are being cut, it is in the forest plantation areas, and they are done systematically in a sustainable manner. There is the allowable cut, and there is the areas which are designated for harvesting each year, and they are not cut all over the same place. You find they have the rotational age of at least 25 to 30 years. So each year we have a target of 5,000 hectares which will be cut out of the 152,000.
Kenya's forest cover was 7.4% in 2022, according to a comprehensive National Forest Resources Assessment and Mapping report by the service. Chichi, Josephine, TV47.
Thanks, Chichi, for that. Now, maize traders in Isebania area in the border of Kenya and Tanzania have lamented over the low prices of maize after the harvest season. The traders and farmers have said that the prices of the commodity have fallen drastically after the harvest season last 2 months, hence affecting their businesses. Now, they want the government to intervene and rescue them from the drop in prices that has affected their businesses. Along the border, a spot check by TV47 indicates that many stores along the border closed down.
Hivi karibuni sisi kama wakulima tumepitia mambo ambayo yametushangaza kwa sababu miezi kama miwili iliyopita mahindi yameagizwa mengi sana na wafanyabiashara tumeona wakifanya kazi ya kutoa mahindi kutoka kwenye mji wa Tanzania, nchi ya Tanzania, na wakati walikuwa wananunua hayo mahindi walikuwa wananunua kwa bei ya juu sana. Ukikompea na wakati huu, wakati ule gunia lilikuwa linaenda la mahindi kilo 90 hadi shilingi 6,500 kwa shilingi 6,000. Lakini baada ya mwezi mmoja wakulima wamevuna chakula, haso wakulima wa Kuria, tumeshangaa mahindi bei imeshuka.
Tulikuwa tunafanya kazi vizuri sana. Muda huo wateja walikuwa wanakuja kuchukua mzigo mahali hapa, ambapo leo hii bosi wangu ameelezea mahindi yako hapa yamekaa store muda mrefu, hayana wateja. Aliyanunua bei ya juu, sasa hivi bei imeshuka. Mfano magunia mahindi yalikuwa nakuja kwa bei nzuri, alikuwa anauza kwa kilo 90 shilingi 5,300. Leo hii imeshuka. Mteja anakuja anakuambia nataka kwa 3,600. Na mahindi aliyanunua bei ya juu. Kwa hiyo hata sisi wafanyakazi ambao tulikuwa tunafanya kazi huko hatuna kazi. Tunakuja tu ni kukaa store, kifika jioni tunarudi nyumbani. Hatuna kitu. Kwa hiyo changamoto ni kubwa. Wateja hawaji, mzigo upo.
And more than 2,000 herders from the Turkana community who are living in Uganda have returned home after the Ugandan government gave them a deadline of 6 months to move. Speaking when he visited the evicted herders in Uganda, Turkana Governor Jeremiah Lomorukai says more than 20 people from the Turkana community have been killed during the year. Governor Lomorukai has promised that the central and county governments will build dams in Lokipoto, Lokiriama and Urum areas so that herders do not have to worry about finding grass and water in Uganda.
Tumevumilia ya kutosha. Kenya tunaomba kwa nchi yetu, kwa kaunti yetu ni kwamba ni vizuri tuweke dams. Water dams, water pans hapa sehemu ya Lokipoto, sehemu ya Nakitongo, sehemu ya Loima, hapo kule Urum mpaka kule Turkana South na hata Turkana East. Tukipata maji, na mimi kama kiongozi wa county nataka kuweka pace. I want to set a pace by starting to construct more water pumps. We will start from here, this Lokipoto area. Tunataka kuweka water pan moja sehemu inaitwa Loita.
Sisi tulifukuza Uganda, si kufukuza. Hii kitu ya kila siku wa Uganda wao wanatuambia nyinyi hapa si kwenyu, mko na ng'ombe mingi mpaka imemaliza maji yetu, imemaliza nyasi yetu, muame hapa mtoke, na sisi hatuna kosa kwa hao watu.
A team of newly trained mediators will work to ease the load of an overburdened judiciary in Meru and Tharaka Nithi counties. Meru has been cited as one of the counties with the biggest number of pending cases, placing the burden on the court officers. Speaking during the end of the training of mediators drawn from the two counties and conducted by CAL Mediation, Mr. Osienya said the organization and other stakeholders did the training of mediators in Meru after an assessment that revealed that its residents were litigious in nature and filed cases that would otherwise be resolved out of court. Ms. Gasheri, the patron of the 5,000 member South Imenti Widows community-based organization, said there was a need for alternative dispute mechanisms as widows and other vulnerable groups cannot afford legal fees and other expenses.
Kwa majina naitwa Caleb Kusienya na mimi ni mmoja wa wakufunzi kutoka CAL Mediation and Arbitration Center, na tumekuwa hapa kwa hili wiki moja kufunza na kuelimisha na kujulisha wakazi wa hii sehemu kuhusu njia mbadala za kutatua mizozo bila kwenda kotini.
What's the importance of the
mediation training?
Mediation.
Faida ya haya masomo ni kwamba watu wanapata kufahamu na kujijuza njia mbadala za kutumia kusuluhisha mizozo. Manake tumeonelea kuwa watu wengi wa hii sehemu wanapenda kwenda kotini na kupelekana kotini sana, na tuwalaumu kwa sababu wako wanajua kwamba kuna njia zingine wanaweza tumia kusuluhisha mizozo zao. So faida ya kwanza ni kwamba wanajua kusuluhisha mizozo zao wenyewe. Pili, wanasaidia wenzao jinsi ya kusuluhisha hizo mizozo bila kwenda kotini, na tatu, inawasaidia kupata kipato kidogo katika kusuluhisha hizo mizozo.
Cases tuko nazo mingi sana, upande wa county ziko mingi sana, na nikiangalia hizo cases mingi njoo iko backlog ya so many cases even zinafaa kukuja sasa kwa mediators, na tunawasi watu wengi waweze kusoma ili waweze kupata hii skills za kuwa mediators. Kwa hivyo mimi nimefurahi sana kwa sababu hata wale wamama wajane ambao huanga nasimamia watu watakuwa wanaweza kupata usaidizi kwa urahisi.
And police in industrial area have made a major breakthrough in a fawn theft syndicate that has been going on by arresting 5 foreigners of Burundi origin over the weekend, with 300 fawns and 5 Kenyans today with 150 fawns, totaling to 450. Now, the fawns are believed to have been stolen from unsuspecting Kenyans from all over the country and were being transported to Burundi, where there is a ready market for second-hand fawns. The Makadara Sub-County Police Commander Judith Nyongesa says they have launched a manhunt for 2 other suspects of Nigerian origin.
Mahali tulipo ni industrial area police station, Makadara Sub-County. Mlipokuwa hapa juzi, tuliahidi kuendelesha operesheni ya kutafuta masimu. Naita operesheni mulika mwizi wa masimu. Tumepiga msasa na leo tumepata masimu 150 ingine. Na tuko na washukiwa wakuu 5. Hii kidude unapoona hivi ndio ya kutumika kuflash simu kwa hizi laptops ziko hapa nyuma. Na unapoona hizi masimu zote ni za wananchi wa Kenya. Na so far zile tulipata zimetambuliwa, mingi zimetambuliwa na wenyewe. So far tuko na washukiwa 10. Na undercover yangu inaendelea kupiga msasa.